Hey guys, right now we're at the Kennedy Space Center in Florida. We've been here before, and to be honest, I have to say it's one of the best places I like to come to. They open at 9, so get here early because as you can see, the parking lot gets pretty filled pretty fast. Okay guys, so now we need to get some tickets. You could actually buy some tickets online in advance and check on availability. It's about $75 for adults and $65 for kids 3 to 11 years old. There's also seniors and military discounts, so take advantage of that. There's also add-ons too for extra stuff, which will cost a bit more. So this is where you can get tickets. Chaos is over there. As you can see, there's people coming in. Okay guys, as you can see, there's a lot of people starting to show up here. I think right now there's like a summer school people taking a tour or a field trip. I'm not sure, but there's a lot of kids here right now. So right now we have to be in line to get in.
That's good, right at the top of the red. Have a good day. Hello. First person, come on.
So we scan our ticket. So right now we just got past security. So guys, I'll provide a description of what's included with the admissions. But check this out, guys. That's pretty awesome. So right now we're gonna do the bus tour first because that gets filled up pretty fast. So right now we're gonna do the bus tour first and then come around and do
9:30 office to go Snoopy show in
okay, thank you. And do the exhibitions and all that. So stay tuned.
You want us to hold our spot and I'll get water? I'll be right back.
So they have a space shop right here on the left, the world's largest space shop. So it says. So the line is actually moving, which is good. So let's see.
How's it going, Wade?
How are you?
Good.
So we're almost to the gate. We're almost to the gate. Where you can get on the bus. And that's where they take your picture for your experience. Right now we're getting on the bus.
My name is Dave. I'll be your tour escort to the Apollo Saturn Science Center. There you're going to learn about the moon landings of over 50 years. I'd like to remind everybody, please remain seated while the bus is in motion. And you're welcome to take all the pictures you like. But please do not take any pictures of the security. Don't like it. We're going to watch a few videos on the way out. And should be there in about 10-15 minutes.
Ignition sequence start. I'm going to step off the limb now. That's one small step for man, one giant leap for mankind.
We have pondered our place amongst the stars since the dawn of humankind. We've looked at the stars with wonder and amazement, their glow guiding our travel for centuries. The more we learn about our universe, the more questions we have.
I'm Emily Calandrelli, and today you'll be following me behind the gates on this exclusive bus tour of Kennedy Space Center. Our journey will take us past active facilities and end at the visitor complex's own Apollo Saturn V sector.
But before we begin this journey, just like every NASA mission, our #1 goal is to return home safely. So always stay seated while the bus is in motion. Please, no food or drinks on the bus with the exception of water. Please keep conversation to a minimum so others may hear and enjoy the tour. No photography is permitted at the security gates, but there will be plenty of photo opportunities during the tour.
This rocket that you'll see standing tall in front of KSE's badging station is the Mercury Redstone rocket. It represents NASA's earliest efforts to send humans into space. These Redstone rockets were formerly ballistic missiles provided to NASA by the U.S. Army. In October of 1958, NASA formally organized Project Mercury with the mission to investigate man's reaction to this new environment and safely recover the capsule and its pilot. Man rating for human spaceflight on what was previously a ballistic missile was no easy task. After several modifications and test flights, a Mercury capsule carrying Ham, a chimpanzee, was successfully launched and recovered on January 31st, 1961. Just months later, on May 5th, astronaut Alan Shepard launched on a Mercury Redstone rocket, becoming the first American in space.
Hi, I'm Janet Petro, and welcome to NASA's John F. Kennedy Space Center, where NASA astronauts have ventured forth on flights of exploration since the 1960s.
Well, the Artemis program, Artemis is actually named for the twin sister of Apollo. And so if you think about all that we did during the Apollo program, how amazing that was. So it seems so appropriate that as we return to the lunar surface, we return to the moon, that we go under the banner of Artemis, the twin sister of Apollo. And while there are similarities in our program, there are also differences. This time our trip to the moon will be on a brand new rocket known as the Space Launch System, or SLS, carrying the crews in the Orion spacecraft.
What is the goal or purpose of sending humans to the moon again?
Well, the moon is a treasure trove of science and discovery, and so there's so much to learn from the moon. We're still
I guess we wait here.
can relive the experience of Neil Armstrong's historic landing and first steps on the moon. As you enter, please move all the way to the front of the theater to make room for the guests behind you. Our presentation will begin shortly.
When I was a kid, I used to dream about flying through space. Every week on TV, I'd watch my heroes jump into their rocket ships and took to the sky. I wanted to be like them. They had courage, imagination, and no problem ever stood in their way for long. But in the end, when they actually did something in space, it turned out that those were exactly the qualities it took. I'm John Hudson. This is Pad 39 of the Kennedy Space Center. I was a launch controller here when from this very spot, man took off to fly to the moon. It was a journey that began 12 years before that rocket ever left the ground. And it started on the other side of the world. Back then, we were one of two superpowers that always seemed to be on the edge of a terrible war. In 1957, the Soviet Union launched the first ever man-made satellite into Earth orbit. They called it Sputnik, which means traveling companion. And in a world where peace held in a delicate balance, it seemed to create a dangerous advantage. Every ham radio operator in America was here for that. People were afraid. Were the Soviets looking down on us? Watching us? If they could make a satellite pass over our cities, could they do the same with a bomb? Our own space program kicked into high gear, and less than 2 months later, we were ready to launch our own satellite. Even further behind. Soviet cosmonaut Yuri Gagarin became the first man into space, circling the world in just 89 minutes. We had our own astronauts, and they were eager and ready to take the big ride. But our manned space program couldn't seem to get off the ground. We stuck with it, and on May 5th, 1961, things finally started going right. Astronaut Alan Shepard took his ship Freedom 7 6.5 miles into space. America had its first space trip. Just a few days later, our space program received a new challenge. But this one did not come so lightly. He, young president, in one inspiring moment, he changed the mission from one based in fear of the present to one of hope for the future.
But why, some say, the moon? Why choose this as our goal? And they may well ask, why climb the highest mountain? Why, 35 years ago, fly the Atlantic? Why does Bryce play Texas? We choose to go to the moon. We choose to go to the moon. We choose to go to the moon in this decade and do the other thing. Not because they are easy, but because they are hard.
We hadn't been more than 16 minutes into space, and now we were going to the moon. We would have to design a rocket the size of a 36-story office building, put it together with precision of a microscope, and accelerate it to the speed of light. Then we would have to guide it to a moving target 250,000 miles away. Many people thought it was an impossible dream, but 400,000 of us set about making that dream a reality. It would be the longest, most hazardous voyage that any man had dared to attempt. But step by step, mission by mission, we orbited the Earth, perfecting the skills and technologies we would need on this incredible journey. Our astronauts practiced maneuvering, docking, and the 1,000 other tasks that would comprise the moon mission. We created new alloys, lighter and stronger than anything seen before. We designed communication systems that would be reliable over the vast distance. And behind it all, we tried to perfect a rocket that would be powerful enough to punch out of Earth orbit and take us to the moon. One day, however, the dream of flying to the moon almost slipped away. It was January 27th, 1967. Astronauts Virgil Gus Grissom, Edward White, and Roger Chaffee were on board Apollo 1 for a plugs-out test, a full-scale dress rehearsal for the actual launch. Suddenly it happened. There was a fire in the capsule. 3 men whose lives had been in our hands were lost.
Surely the opening vistas of space promise high costs and hardships, as well as high reward. But this country of the United States was not built by those who waited and rested and wished to look behind them.
After Apollo 1, some thought we'd failed, and that the moon was out of our reach. But we owed it to those men, to learn from their sacrifice and to carry on. We started taking the Apollo vehicle apart, piece by piece. Was the design flawed? Had safety been compromised? Tough questions. And we spent 1.5 years redesigning the spacecraft so that no astronaut's life would ever be at risk because we overlooked something or because we could have done something better. A moon rocket is 91% high explosive, and it goes into the most unforgiving, hazardous environment there is. We could never make it risk-free, and the men who flew them knew that. We didn't send men into space again until Apollo 7 orbited the Earth testing some of the new design. When everything worked perfectly, the decision was made. The next mission would travel to the moon. It was mankind's destiny to leave the shores of our planet behind and strike out across the vast ocean of space. In the great span of our history, now was the time that we could. Now was the time that we would. We stood on the eve of the longest, most dangerous journey that any man had ever undertaken. And it would be taken by Frank Borman, James Lovell, and William Anders, the crew of Apollo 8. Through those doors, you'll find the firing mode, launch control, just as it was on December 21st, 1968.
Please gather all of your belongings, take small children by the hand, and proceed through the open doors to firing room number 1. All strollers, wheelchair guests, and wheelchair guests.
At this hour, the Orchid Bandits is still trying to go ahead with it. To send 3 men to the moon and back. I'll repeat that. To send 3 men to the moon.
This is the launch control.
For the comfort, safety, and viewing pleasure of all our guests, we ask that you refrain from flash photography or duration of our presentation. If you must leave during the presentation.
This is the firing room, launch control for the Apollo missions. This is not a mock-up. These are the very consoles we sat at when men first took off to fly to the moon. The tragedy of Apollo 1 had put us 1.5 years behind. We were making up for it in one big leap, and we were doing it with a rocket that no man had ever flown before. It was a few days before Christmas 1968 when Apollo 8 sat on the pad. She was the first of a new kind, a moon rocket. This was the Phoenix, risen from the ashes of Apollo 1. The first Apollo crew did not die in vain. This was to be their testament.
36 stories high. She had been fully fueled throughout the night. The liquid oxygen in her tanks caused ice to form on the outside of the craft. The extreme temperature differences between the air and the sub-zero fuel caused the metal skin of the rocket to expand and contract. Everyone who was on the pad agreed. It was as though the rocket was alive, breathing, straining at the leash. Earlier in the morning, astronauts Frank Borman, Jim Lovell, and Bill Anders had made their final preparations before taking that long ride out to the waiting spacecraft. The minimum safe distance from a Saturn V at liftoff was 3 miles. The reason was simple. When fully fueled, the rocket contained the explosive power of an atomic bomb. As the clock counted down, the astronauts and all of us in launch control went through the pre-flight checks. Our hands on the controls of the most powerful, most complex machine ever built. It had over 2 million separate systems, and to bring these men back alive, everything had to work perfectly. Each individual system had been tested, but what we didn't know was how they would perform when all 2 million began to work together. That moment would come when the countdown clock reached 0. If a maneuvering thruster failed, if communications broke down, if navigation was off by 1 degree, if any piece of the miles of wiring, circuits, relays, or valves was defective, Frank Borman, Jim Lovell, and Bill Anders would pay with their lives. As they sat, waiting for launch on that chill December morning, these 3 astronauts were back to what they had always been, test pilots. You are now in the final minutes before the launch of Apollo 8, right here where it actually happened. Mankind is about to leave his planet behind and journey to another. It is one of those rare moments when history is not being made, destiny is being embraced.
T-minus 3 minutes and counting. We have completed our communications checks with the Apollo 8 astronauts in the cabin, and the communications are go. During this period, once we do get the firing command, the various tanks within the 3 stages of the Saturn V launch vehicle begin to pressurize. We have firing command. The firing command is in. We are now on the automatic sequence. T-minus 2 minutes, 20 seconds, and counting. Our status board indicates that all aspects are ready. Instrument unit is ready. Spacecraft ready. Final check of the emergency detection system. That ready light also on. First stage preparations are completed.
Okay. We're on. Ready to go to cockpit. Stand by water. Okay, you're on. All systems go.
1 minute, 45 seconds and counting. The first stage liquid oxygen tank has been pressurized, and the pressure is still building up. Coming up in 90 seconds, mark T-minus 90 seconds and counting. The Apollo 8 crew standing by, spacecraft commander Frank Borman, Jim Lovell, Bill Anders.
successfully orbited the moon, and the astronauts returned safely to the Earth. I know. I'm Jim Lovell, and I was one of the crew of this spacecraft, Apollo 8. We were the first men to see the surface of the moon from just a few miles away. But it was the hundreds of thousands of men and women who worked on that team, and the millions of people who supported the mission that really made it possible. That way, I guess, we all went to the moon. Now, on the other side of those doors, you'll find an actual Saturn V moon mine. It's still the most powerful, the most complex machine ever built. And I guess it's the only one that can take you to another planet. I actually got to fly one on a second flight to the moon called Apollo 13. But that's another story.
So right now we're heading to the firing room. Guys, as you can see right behind me, that's like the bottom or the back, or yeah, the bottom of the shuttle. That's pretty insane. Imagine the fire just coming out from the back. So guys, as you can see, like on the side of the shuttle, see how long it is. It's crazy, it's insane. It's amazing. Actually gonna go in there and see what it looks like inside. That's crazy how 3 people could fit in that capsule. They actually have a Moon Rock Cafe in here. In case any of you guys are hungry, you can actually grab a bite to eat. So that thing behind there actually goes in somewhere in there.
Surface and exposure. Of the Saturn V. The third stage marked the time of putting the spacecraft through the parking orbit 180 miles above Earth. The first stage.
So guys, this is the Astrofan, which takes the astronauts to the shuttle. So let's see what it looks like in the inside. So they got a couple seats. Okay, let's go into the theater and see what they are actually showing in here. Oh, it's an exhibit. Walk in. Wow, that was pretty cool. This is how they sit. And they're ready to launch.
You're getting right to the
science, technology, and the men of our land.
As soon as the Eagle reappears, things begin to go wrong. Radio communications break down. Messages to Eagle must be relayed through Mike Collins aboard the command module Columbia. Throughout the crucial final checks, contact with the Eagle keeps dropping out. And Flight Director Gene Kranz inches closer to aborting the mission. With the vital computer links temporarily holding, the moment of decision is now.
Okay, I'll find the colors, don't have over landing, retro, go, right up, go, right, go, roll, go, Telcom, go, INSPE, go, Econ, go, Surgeon, go, Capcom, or over landing. Eagle gets in here, over landing, over. Identity, over landing. 1, 0.
Hurtling toward the moon at 3,800 miles per hour, Neil Armstrong notices his checkpoints are all appearing too soon. This means a serious navigation error. At these speeds, 3 seconds long means missing the safe landing zone by 3 miles. Suddenly, the computer starts firing the maneuvering thrusters, jolting the ship back and forth. This has happened in simulations, but never this much, never this violent. The smooth descent is becoming a bumpy ride. Before that is fixed, a problem with the onboard computer. The astronauts have rehearsed for thousands of possible malfunctions, but not this one. It had been considered too unlikely. Seconds seem like hours as everyone struggles to remember the meaning of a 1202 program alarm. The deadline to safely aboard is vanishing fast. 1202 means the Eagle's onboard computer is overloading. This means Houston is blind, unable to make navigation corrections or interpret the data coming from Eagle's computer. Armstrong and Aldrin are on their own. Mission Control decides they can go ahead if the data link doesn't fail again. 1,000 feet, and Neil Armstrong can see that the computer is proposing to put them down in a dangerous place. That landing site is full of boulders. If they land there, they will never take off again. At 350 feet, Armstrong ignores his computer navigation and veers away from the rocky landing site with no time to explain to Mission Control.
Okay, I'll flight controller, hang tight.
In Mission Control, everybody is stunned. At 300 feet, the Eagle has left its flight plan and taken off at full speed across the face of the moon.
Eagle Houston, it's descent to fuel. Monitor, over.
90 seconds of fuel remaining. Now less than 200 feet, and the Eagle is too low to safely abort back into orbit. They call this part of the flight plan Dead Man's Curve. All that's left for Mission Control is to read off the fuel remaining in seconds.
60 seconds.
The entire moon landing has come down to 2 men and 1 minute.
Forward. Bring speed down, 2.5. 30 seconds. 30 seconds. Lights on. Down 2.5. Forward. 30 feet, 2.5 down. Take shadow. 4 forward, just to the right roll. 9.5. Contact light. Okay, engine stop. Tranquility Base here. The Eagle has landed. Roger, Tranquility. We copy you on the ground. You got a bunch of guys about to turn blue. We're breathing again. Thanks a lot.
A short time later, history is made again.
Good, yeah, we can see you coming down the ladder now.
For one incredible moment, we are one people with one history, watching our destiny unfold.
That's one small step for man, one giant leap for mankind.
It was a moment shared by an entire world.
Man from the planet Earth, first set foot upon the land. It came in peace for all mankind.
With these first steps, mankind stood on the highest ground, and we saw our planet as our home port in the endless ocean of space.
There was something which was surprising to me. That occurred as I was standing on the surface. Just after we had landed, I'd gone down, standing on the surface and looking at planet Earth for the first time. Seeing the beauty, seeing the finiteness of it, the limits of it, and realizing what a shame it was that people were confronting each other on that planet without realizing what it was doing to the planet. It was a very emotional moment for me. I actually shed a couple of tears. Something totally unexpected for an engineer and fighter pilot to be crying quietly up there without realizing what it was doing to the planet. It was a very emotional moment for me. I actually shed a couple of tears. Something totally unexpected for an engineer and fighter pilot to be crying quietly up there on the moon.
Mankind had achieved a tenuous foothold in the heavens and a new and exciting world for only one day. But over the next 3.5 years, 5 more Apollo missions visited the moon, and with each one, we stayed longer, roamed further, and discovered more.
I never thought when I was a kid building rockets, in high school, that we would go to the moon, before the end of the century. I mean, I thought that was something that was way in the future, fantasy.
I was rolling on the moon one day. In a very month of December now. Hey, look at the size of that rocket. That is the best sample we got. Just don't stub your toe.
We have got to understand that as a people, we need to stretch. We need to reach beyond our grasp. We need to strive to do things that seem impossible, because in the accomplishment of them, we move society forward.
Boy, isn't the beauty of this place is just absolutely incredible.
mind. Give our children and grandchildren a different perspective, that they see the mountains that we couldn't see. And so what we consider impossible, they're dreaming about.
3, 2, 1. What a ride, what a ride.
When I have a chance to talk to kids, I tell them, the first thing I tell them is to take the word impossible out of their vocabulary. Go to their teacher tomorrow morning and scratch it out of the dictionary. The word doesn't exist. If I could stand here and tell you that I lived on the moon, that I crawled the moon my home for 3 days, you tell me what is impossible in this day and age, much less in a generation that follows, much less into the 21st century. Nothing is impossible.
I like exploring things, inventing. I would like to go up there and find out what's really. I would like to be an astronaut. I like to design rockets. Payload specialist. I be ground control. The thing that my mom can't understand is I'm terrified of heights, but I want to be an astronaut. There's so many things I'd love to do. I would explore, I'd look for everything. I would try to start a farm. Millions of other galaxies that you might be able to live in. The unknown. Anything's possible. You may be able to cure certain diseases. Mars and dance on it. Play basketball, but you can still be short. Because then you could like fly up in the air. Baseball, to be honest. Hit the ball, you get a home run every time. There are a lot of things that can benefit mankind that means because of science we simply cannot do on Earth. It's such a big universe, and it's kind of strange to think that just this one tiny planet was chosen to have life on. I hear they're finding new planets or moons, and finding out more about how stars are working, and it makes me feel like it's trying to tell me something.
What's it trying to tell you?
That you belong up there with them.
The Apollo program ended in December of 1972, but our journey into space is just beginning. I'm Neil Armstrong. The future of space travel is being written right now in the dreams and imaginations of a new generation. Perhaps that's the greatest legacy of Apollo. It shows our children and grandchildren courage, imagination, and will to explore. No dream is impossible.
More interest.
Armrest was mounted between the seats, which had adjustable footrests and a Velcro fastened seat belt. Once on the surface, astronauts deployed the LRV from the launch compartment one day. The rotor components locked into place upon opening. Cabling, pins, and tripods would then be removed and the seats and footrests raised. After mounting and switching on all the electronics, the vehicle was ready to explore the lunar surface.
It's pretty cool in here, so don't forget to stop by if you're ever in Florida. So there's more to see, so let's keep on going. So this is what we just saw on the screen. What's in the cockpit? You could actually even get into the spacesuit and get your picture taken if you wanted to. I actually want to try that, but probably.
You guys should be all good. Just as soon as she's done, you're gonna get.
And there's another souvenir shop over here. There's quite a few souvenir shops on premises, so don't worry if you don't get anything from here. You can also get them from the front. I actually like this shirt. I need my space. To try these, the astronaut ice cream. What flavor is this? It's chocolate, vanilla, strawberry. Okay guys, that was the end of this side, this tour. Now we're going to the other side where we first started. So we need to get on the bus to get on the other side again, so let's go. Oh, we just missed the bus. We'll just wait for another one.
This one offloaded.
Tomorrow I bet.
Unless you're taking photos with those phones. And if you have drinks, please keep the drinks in your hands at all times. Do not put those drinks on the floor or the seats. You came because you want to know Hopefully you've been able to, at this point, observe and absorb as much information as possible within the time that you share with us, understanding that this is the only site of its kind on Earth that you would have the opportunity to partake of. Nowhere else in the whole wide world. Once again, welcome. It was a whopping $22.18. My utility bill for the month of September last year.
Hey guys, we are standing right in front of the Atlantis shuttle, tilted so you can actually see the whole thing. Makes me feel really small standing right below it. So, the adventure has only begun. It's another gift shop down here.
Tell her a short-term increase, but...
Engineer? Morning, Betty. What, right now? Building 36?
I didn't even know there was a building 36. Must be important. Everyone's here. We got propulsion, aerothermal, flight dynamics.
Anyone know why we're here?
For this.
Good morning. We're going to create America's next spacecraft. It's going to launch like a rocket and land like an airplane, and it's going to be reusable.
Can't do that with a rocket.
It's not a rocket. It's a shuttle.
Step. Sketch pad to launch pad. Going to the moon was a camping trip. Now our job is to work and live in space. This vehicle has to do something that we have never done before. Perform 4 key tasks and be able to do them over and over again. There is nothing easy about putting a ship back up into space, let alone a whole fleet of ships. But first, let's talk about the launch. We have never designed engines and vehicles that can be reused. But we will, and once we're in orbit, we go to work. We want to take all kinds of cargo up there in addition to the people. Science labs, satellites, new space station. And when all the work is done, we gotta bring everybody back home. All right now. The country's waiting. Let's build ourselves a space shuttle.
It's too big, it's too heavy. But we're launching one spaceship on the back of an even bigger one.
What if we split the booster into its pieces?
all those parts home.
What if we just throw the fuel tank away?
We're writing all new processes, procedures, manuals. We've never had to reuse a ship before.
We're also gonna have to build some really big garages.
Sir, what if she lands somewhere other than Florida? How does she get back here? It's a glider.
Buy her a plane ticket home.
Ablative heat shields are heavy, and they burn up on re-entry. We need a more reusable solution. Silica foam tiles, thousands of them, fitted together in one lightweight, reusable heat shield.
Another holdup with the engines? Tell me some good news with the towels.
The heat shield bond keeps failing. The tiles keep falling off.
So another delay. How long? How long?
1.5 to 2 years.
Well, this is going to be fun to tell my boss. Everybody get back to work.
How do you feel?
I'll let you know. When they come home.
The President's message said, "You go forward this morning on a daring enterprise, and you carry the hopes and prayers of all Americans with you." And astronaut John Young, the commander of the mission, replied, "That's a right fine speech. We sure appreciate it."
This launch of Columbia marks NASA's first manned test flight ever flown into space with people on board.
Coming up on the 5-minute point. Mark, T-minus 5 minutes.
After Friday's first launch of
May I have your attention, please? Should you need to leave the presentation for any reason, we kindly ask that you exit using the doors located at the front of the theater.
going to go over to your right by the stairs. But in the meantime, enjoy your day today. You're welcome. Don't cross this mat. I don't want to do no paperwork in this school.
I'm also pretty sure he didn't know it ended up in a display case somewhere. Anyway, this is a crew compartment. That's where the astronauts ride. There are 3 decks up there. Flight deck, mid deck, and then there's a lower deck that's mainly just for storage and exercises. But the flight deck is where the pilot, the commander, and a couple of the mission specialists sit. Those are the guys that do the scientific work on the mission, the mission and payload specialists. It's like the cockpit of an airplane. The lower deck, the mid deck, is where the remaining mission and payload specialists sit. Right in front of the crew compartment, you see those white indentations. Those are called star trackers. They open once this is in space, and they use the stars to help navigate, like the old sailing ships used to do. They close for protection during re-entry. These are thrusters. There's someone either end of the spacecraft, and they fire a short burst just to give a little bit of movement to steer it. It doesn't take much to do something really big in zero gravity. Now, you all know that when this re-enters the atmosphere, it gets really hot. And it has to be protected from all that heat. There are 3 components in the thermal protection system. The white, usually thermal blankets, the black tiles, we'll talk about those in a moment. The third is the gray, the nose of the orbiter, the leading edge of the wing. That's a material called reinforced carbon. That's a weird name, but that's the strongest of all the thermal protection. It can withstand nearly 3,000 degrees Fahrenheit. That's where it gets the hottest during re-entry. Let's walk over to the payload bay. Calm down, guys. Okay, now before we talk about Atlantis specifically, I want to tell you 3 things, general things about flying space shuttles. First thing, the entire mission, the entire time this is in space, these doors are always open. They have to be open the entire time because they're radiators. There's a lot of heat generated during a mission, and these doors have to help dissipate all that heat. Second thing, unless this is docked with the International Space Station or releasing a satellite, it would almost always be flying upside down and backwards. Now, astronauts don't really have an up or down, so they don't care. But that does help protect the spacecraft by being in that orientation. And then the third thing, while in orbit, this would be traveling at 17,500 miles an hour. That's orbital speed. Remember that number. If they don't go that fast, they can't stay in orbit. If they go a lot faster than that, then they'll go places they didn't plan to go. Because the faster you move, the further from the planet you get. Okay, the structure in there is a docking airlock. That's how the astronauts get from this into the International Space Station. The ring up at the top makes contact with the corresponding part of the airlock on the ISS. Once it connects, it retracts into an airtight seal. And the astronauts come out of that little tunnel, go up through the airlock into the International Space Station. Now, do we have anybody today from Canada, by any chance? No, okay. The Canadarm, provided by the Canadian Space Agency, is a remarkable tool. It's like our arm. It has a shoulder, an elbow, a wrist, and a hand. And it can be used to take things out of the payload bay or to put things back into the payload bay that we retrieve. It's also used as a work platform
for the astronauts when they do spacewalks. You see right over there, there's an astronaut with his boots attached to an arm. That prevents him from floating away while he's doing a spacewalk. But do you all notice on the far side of the payload bay, there's what looks like another arm. Everybody see that over there? Okay, that wasn't always there. Do you remember that we lost Columbia during re-entry because of damage that happened during launch? And the damage was right in the leading edge of the wing where it curves. Because of the payload bay doors, the crew couldn't see the damage. Satellites and telescopes down on Earth couldn't clearly see it either. So when we returned to flight, we had this attached. It's not really another arm. It's a boom that attaches to that arm, and it makes it 50 feet longer. And I bet some of the engineers that installed those, they refer to it as a giant selfie stick. It's there for the purpose of taking photos. We may have never been able to do anything about future damage, but we never did want to know the extent of it. Does that make sense? All right, let's walk down to the other end. The payload bay is a total of 60 feet long. You can actually put a school bus in there. Pretty big cargo ship, don't you think? Okay, now this is pretty obviously the business end of the spacecraft. This is where the engines are. These three shuttle main engines back here are models. The reason we have models here, we're still using shuttle main engines. See that picture over there with the rocket in it? That's our new moon rocket called Artemis, the SLS rocket. And it uses shuttle main engines. So since we're still using those, and they are sort of expensive, we did put three in here which is not needed. The second type of thermal protection is white thermal blankets. Early in the shuttle program, we had white tiles in most of those areas. And we discovered that it didn't get as hot as we thought it would during re-entry. So where we could, we replaced the white tiles with these. Saved us two things. Saved us money. That's fairly important. Saved us weight, and that's very important. We have a volunteer that comes here a lot. She made those during the shuttle program. And she's told me that certain built in 1914. Third type of thermal protection, black tiles. There are over 24,000 black tiles. And no two of them are the same. A lot of them look like the others, but they're not. They're somehow different. They can't be interchanged. We average replacing about 125 every flight. And when we did that, you see they have writing on it. Put that into a computer, generate a new one, and then replace it. Now, I'm aware that probably all of you and them, and even the sign here, refers to this spacecraft as a space shuttle. And it's okay to do that. But technically, what this is a space shuttle orbiter. What a space shuttle is that. It's all of it put together. The orbiter, the orange external tank, the white solid rocket booster, they're all assembled together inside the VAB.
Back in Britannia was still going.
And once you're in the launch pad, here's how the count.
They were great.
At T-minus 6.6 seconds, not to zero yet, these three engines ignite. And they begin building up thrust. They go from zero to full thrust. And it takes about 6 seconds. If the computer, we're still bolted to the launch pad, if the computer detected something wrong, it just turned off. And we had to come back another day. But at T-minus 0, the white solid rocket boosters ignite. And when they do, they're instantly at full thrust. They don't have to build up anything. And I've met a lot of astronauts who flew on this, and almost every one of them says, when those white solid rocket boosters kick in, you're 100% sure that you're going somewhere. You just hope that you're going up because they can't be turned off. They burn until the fuel is gone. In this case, that's about 2.5 minutes. At the end of that time, they were jettisoned, and they were parachuted into the ocean. We recovered those, cleaned them up, refueled them, and reused those. At the end of 8.5 minutes, this is in space, that tank is empty, and it's jettisoned. And what doesn't burn up in the atmosphere ends up over in the Indian Ocean somewhere. We never went after that. Now, do you all remember how fast we're going when we're in orbit? Wow, you guys are great. 17,500. Okay, we've done our mission. We're ready to come home. What do we have to do? We have to close the payload bay door. But after we do that, what's the first thing we have to do to be able to re-enter the atmosphere? We have to slow down. What did you say? That. But we have to slow down. So the way we remember we're flying backwards. Okay, these two smaller orbital maneuvering system engines burn in the direction of travel, which is backward, for a short, like 2.5 minutes, very short burn. And they slow the spacecraft all the way down from 17,500 to about 17,300. Not much, but that's enough. It begins to drop into the atmosphere, and when it does, they roll over with the nose facing forward, the underside facing the ground, and they come the rest of the way home, and as a glider. They have no more power. It's pretty amazing flying, isn't it? And I want to show you guys what 24,000 tiles looks like. They've been through re-entry heat several times, a couple thousand degrees, turned them gray. Those are made out of a very special material. They're made out of something called silica foam. And each of those tiles, on average, is about 92% air. If you held one of those tiles in your hand, and a piece of styrofoam the same size and shape in your other hand, chances are that the styrofoam will be heavier. Now, since they are 92% air, are you all aware that here in Florida, it rains? Pretty good bit, right? All right, these will sit on the launch pad for a couple of weeks sometimes. And if you collect just a tiny bit of water 24,000 times, that is going to be heavy. So here's how they prevented that from happening. They would close the processing facility for 5 consecutive weekends. You see those little dots in the center of the tiles? They would go into the processing facility and inject a water repellent with a name about this long into each of those tiles individually by hand 24,000 times. It took a minute or two to do that. Now you all know that we had 135 space shuttle launches over 30 years. We had 133 landings because we lost Challenger, we lost Columbia. They were safe landings. But of those safe landings, how many do you think, by every measurement coming through the atmosphere to wheel stop on the runway, was by every measurement a perfect landing? I mean, wild guess. How many? Zero's a great guess. It was actually one. And it was piloted by a lady named Eileen Collins. So guys, I'm sorry, but some of our best drivers are our lady astronauts. And we have some pretty amazing lady astronauts. Now, in the rest of the building, downstairs, this floor, there are simulators. You can practice docking with the ISS. You can practice using the robot arm. You can even practice landing this. Over here, there's an exhibit about the International Space Station. Just beyond it, called Forever Remembered, is a memorial to the Challenger and the Columbia crew. There are personal items of each astronaut in there. There's some recovered debris from Challenger and Columbia. Just go through and
pay your respects. Over here, you see the sign that has the word experience on it? That's something called the Shuttle Launch Experience. It is a simulator. You're put in the payload bay of an orbiter, you're raised vertically, and you're pretty sure you launch. It's really realistic. We've had a lot of astronauts to ride on that, and some of them have said they helped design it, and some of them have said it is more realistic than some of the ones they trained on. So, how cool is that? Okay, two things and I'll let you go. Number one, if you haven't done it yet, go ride the bus. The bus is the only transportation that will get you to the Apollo Saturn V Center, and they don't run after 2:30. So, and I know it's nowhere near that. But you're going to get busy doing things, you're going to look at your watch, it will be 2:40, and you can't go. Second thing, when you come back, you just drop right in front of this building, so you can come back in. Second thing I want to share with you is, every day that I've ever worked here, including today, people come to me and say, how do you get out of this building? And I explain to them, this is Central Florida. All you have to do is look for the gift shop. Right over there. Guys, thank you for giving us some time. Enjoy the rest of your day. Thanks, folks.
Do you want to go back to the beginning or no?
Pretty cool. Let's see what's inside.
¿Cuántos botones, por favor?
Sí, ¿cuál se aprende?
Sí. A ver, Ricky, ¿cómo manejas el capotador?
Okay guys, put your seatbelt on because I'm driving this thing. I know that guy. Oh, this is how they use the bathroom.
See, Mama would love this.
Hold on for dear life. astronaut Dover shoes. So I'm gonna take the slide down. Hopefully I don't get hurt or anything. Okay, here I go. Forever remembered shuttle launch experience. So this is the underneath of the shuttle. That was a lot of fun on the slide. It's been a long time since I've actually been on the slide. So it's a good thing I didn't get hurt. Otherwise, I would have looked like a fool in front of everybody here. So right now we're walking up to, I think it's a flight simulator thing. Halfway there.
Things that that was making an impression on me was that smallness. And if you're not an environmentalist, I think you become one when you're up there because
I've ever experienced in any airplane I flew, for sure.
So if you're the type of person that has a need for speed, you are really going to love this simulation.
Suited up, the shuttle's external tanker ET was fueled up. The ET holds fuel for the shuttle's 3 main engines.
We're going on a simulator, but unfortunately I won't be able to film that for safety reasons. Darn. Hey guys, so we are gonna try the Orbit Cafe here because with all the things that we've done so far, it's getting me really hungry. So let's go. pretty amazing once you're here how small it makes you feel standing next to it.
Yeah, it's pretty nice. Not a lot of people here.
Shooting to the moon, dreaming of the stars. Wow, check that out. We just ate.
Or we can try and do them all. There's not a lot of people.
Yeah. Another simulator ride.
It's easy to imagine constellations have always been just as they are. But did you know, like us, stars are born with pure light? Star life cycles are responsible for some of the most stunning sights in our universe. And today we'll traverse thousands of light years to see them firsthand. Let's go. Before we can fly there ourselves, telescopes like Webb allow us to observe stars inside nebula like our first destination, located 1,500 light years away in the constellation Orion. This is the Horsehead Nebula, first discovered in 1888. The distinctive dark horsehead shape of the nebula is a cloud of dust that blocks the light of the glowing nebula behind it. Dusty nebula clouds like this one are often called stellar nurseries because they're where new star and will continue in that phase for millions to tens of billions of years. So we've seen a star's birth. Now let's take a look at a dying star. First discovered in 1731 and most famously photographed by Hubble in 1999. We're so far away from Earth, the light we're seeing now won't reach home until after the year 8,500. When a star about 8 times as massive as our sun dies, it goes out with a bang in a violent explosion called a supernova. And these beautiful celestial clouds are what's left behind. We've saved something special for last. A Wolf-Rayet star. A rare and beautiful type of star nearing the end of its life cycle and about to go supernova. At a million times brighter than our sun, this star emits stellar wind approaching 100,000 miles per hour. Its ejection shell is so large, our entire solar system can fit across it end to end over 2,000 times. When Wolf-Rayet stars explode in a supernova, they see the universe with heavy elements and look at planets, stars, and even our own bodies. From the fiery crucible of this star's death come the building blocks of future worlds. But now we make the 28,000 light-year journey back to one of the most beautiful sights of all. Vast in the glow of our oldest star, the sun. It's the energy source that sustains nearly all life on our planet.
Fiat Mission Control. Welcome back. Your approach is for any arriving traffic. Cleared for landing on runway 31. Fiat copy.
You'll be transported back to the gate shortly. Today's this journey to the stars. We might be back on Earth, but thanks to generations of...
Please notify the HOT immediately. Thank you for your cooperation.
All right, Red, you're gonna follow me?
That's it.
All right, everybody come all the way down to the first seat. We're gonna start filling it there.
Okay.
Hyperion, Launch Director, activate viewport.
Today's tour is inspired by the great explorers of our solar system. Robotic probes, following the past trailblazing missions like Voyager, Galileo, Cassini, and Juno. We're headed to the outer solar system.
All systems green. Commander.
LD, Hyperion is go.
Confirm, Hyperion. You are go for main engine start. 3, 2, 1. Liftoff.
Before we had ships like ours, probes and satellites were one of our best ways to learn about the solar system. Probes were capable of traveling faster and farther than was once safe for human explorers. They went first, so we could follow. We're tracing the path of Cassini, which spent 13 years studying Saturn and its moons. It arrived in 2004, along with the Huygens lander, which it delivered to our first stop, Saturn's largest moon, Titan. When rockets touched down, it discovered evidence of recent liquid activity on Titan's surface. And in 2007, Cassini confirmed liquid methane and ethane here, making Titan the only place besides Earth known to have bodies of liquid on its surface. In fact, Cassini found that Titan's largest sea, Crake and Mare, is larger than all 5 of the North American Great Lakes combined. Now we're coming up on Saturn's most iconic feature, its rings. Saturn isn't the only planet in our system with rings, but these are by far the most impressive. They're made of millions of pieces of ice and dust, ranging in size from tiny particles to small mountains. On its final orbits, Cassini dove through the gap between Saturn's rings and the upper atmosphere for an unforgettable new perspective of the planet, one that you too are now about to share. Saturn's famous hexagon at its north pole was first discovered by Voyager 2 in 1981. It's a hurricane-like storm more than twice as wide as Earth, with winds pushing 300 miles per hour. Next, we're going to visit the largest planet in our solar system and target of the Juno orbital probe, Jupiter. Juno arrived in 2016 and spent years withstanding conditions too extreme for prolonged human exposure, including intense radiation and gravity 2.5 times that of Earth. Over the course of its mission, Juno studied Jupiter's formation and weather, including the Great Red Spot, which is a giant storm almost 1.5 Earths wide that has been raging for at least 200 years. Ahead is Jupiter's moon Europa. After NASA's Galileo satellite found evidence of a water ocean beneath its surface in 1996, Europa became a target for our search for extraterrestrial life. These geysers were first detected by the Hubble Space Telescope in 2012, but it's likely Galileo actually flew through one in 1997. I'm going to take us in. Humanity's search for answers to the mysteries of the universe has propelled us hundreds of millions of miles to the distant reaches of our solar system and beyond. But no matter how far we've roamed, every mission, technology, dream, and idea started right here.
Hyperion, Mission Control. Welcome home. Your approach is free of arriving traffic. Clear for landing on LC-59 Bravo.
Hyperion, copy.
Hyperion, hold for disengagement in flight position.
Hyperion, hold. Our solar system is still full of wonders to discover, and robotic probes will always be there on the forefront of exploration. Even as humanity ventures across the solar system and beyond, probes will continue to go first, go farther, and
Passengers are reminded that they must keep their luggage with them at all times. Any unattended bags. Science fiction, a system of exoplanets or worlds located outside of our solar system. They've been found all across our galaxy, but our destination today, Trappist 1, is home to an impressive 7 alien worlds.
You're in the middle.
LV, Helios is go. Confirmed, Helios. You are go for main engine start. 3, 2, 1. There's the Transiting Exoplanet Survey Satellite, or TESS, launched in 2018. Its mission is to search out new systems of exoplanets around distant stars. The universe is full of uncharted worlds. Even our own solar system still has mysteries to be explored, like if there's a massive ninth planet somewhere far beyond Neptune. But here's our course, 40 light years away, towards the constellation Aquarius. This is TRAPPIST-1. Found to host 3 planets in 2016 and 4 more in 2017. Astronomers were excited by this discovery because TRAPPIST-1 has at least 3 Earth-sized planets inside its habitable or Goldilocks zone, the region around the star where it's not too hot or too cold for liquid water to exist on a planet's surface. Astronomers are always looking for terrestrial planets inside the zone because they're the most likely to support life as we know it. Of course, habitable and livable aren't the same thing. TRAPPIST-1G is just inside the system's cooler edge of the habitable zone and has a global mean surface temperature of negative 100 degrees Fahrenheit, so not quite as cozy as Earth. As a red dwarf, the star TRAPPIST-1 also has some interesting differences from our own yellow dwarf home star. It's up to twice as old as our sun, but only about 1/8 our sun's size. This means all its planets orbit very close together. The orbits of all 7 planets would easily fit inside the orbit of the closest planet to our sun, Mercury. TRAPPIST-1F is only slightly closer to the system's star, but thanks to its dense, Venus-like atmosphere, it's much warmer. Over 500 degrees warmer, in fact. So it's also unlikely to host life as we know it, which leaves remarkably Earth-like TRAPPIST-1e on the warmer edge of the habitable zone. I'm going to take us in closer. Everyone hang on, the orbital debris always makes this entrance a little tricky. Habitability is a delicate balance, but when it's achieved, it's pretty spectacular. When planetary makeup, surface temperature, and atmosphere all interact together just so, they create the conditions necessary to support life as we know it. And with more planets than stars in our galaxy, Earth-like worlds certainly number in the billions. Now let's travel 40 light years back to our solar system for one more planet you just have to see. With countless planets in the Milky Way, it's pretty incredible we get to call this one home.
Helios Mission Control. Good to see you. Your approach is green, eliminating traffic. Clear for landing on runway 31.
Helios, copy. Helios, holding. You'll be transported back to the beach shortly. It's been a pleasure having you all aboard today. TRAPPIST-1 is only the beginning. There's a whole universe of uncharted planets out there. Please have your boarding passes ready as you approach the gate. Thank you.
We have a shorter walk, 2 seconds.
Attention passengers.
¿Quieren más por ahí pegado?
You're about to embark on one of the most exciting adventures in the universe, a visit to another planet. On today's tour of Mars, you'll see the red planet's rugged beauty firsthand and encounter
ship is ready for launch, Commander.
Thank you, pilot. LV, EOS is go.
Confirmed EOS. You are go for main engine start. 3, 2, 1, liftoff.
We'll be getting clearance from the Lunar Gateway on our way out. The Gateway was our first real step towards deep space exploration. It serves as a staging ground for missions to the Moon's surface and to Mars. Lunar Gateway, this is EOS. Contact EOS. You are cleared for Mars. Course laid in for our planetary neighbor. In the early days of the rover program, this journey used to take about 7 months. Welcome to Mars. The dusty red planet we know today didn't always look this way. A couple billion years ago, Mars was mostly covered in water. The mystery of what happened to Mars water is a big part of what the researchers at the Mars Outpost are studying. If we can understand what caused Mars climate change, we might be able to better care for our own planet. That big gouge in the surface is a canyon called Valles Marineris. It's about 5 times as long and 4 times as deep as Earth's Grand Canyon. We're coming up on Olympus Mons, the largest volcano in the solar system. It stands 3 times higher than Mount Everest and is roughly the size of the state of Arizona.
Martian Outpost, this is EOS. Contact EOS, you are cleared for approach.
Today we'll be visiting one of Mars' pioneer explorers. The Perseverance rover arrived at the planet in the year 2021. Before we had people at the outpost searching for Martian life, rovers were our primary tool to study the planet. They have ranged boldly through this alien landscape to test new technologies and uncover evidence of Mars' warm, wet past, including minerals formed in ancient water and the chemicals necessary to support living microbes. Perseverance's mission was to seek signs of ancient life and collect rock and soil samples to be returned to Earth for study. It also arrived with the Ingenuity helicopter, the first test of powered flight on another planet. With each successful test and discovery, Perseverance and Ingenuity brought us closer to getting boots on Martian soil.
Commander, a dust storm appears to be forming over the crater.
Visibility's dropping. We're going to stay low to avoid any damage to our heat shields. Martian dust storms pose a real problem for equipment like solar panels. A planet-wide storm caused the demise of the Steadfast Opportunity rover back in 2018. But now, it's time to make the journey back home. To a world still lush with water and life.
EOS, Mission Control. Welcome back. Your approach is free of arriving traffic. Clear for landing on LC-73.
EOS copy.
From the time humanity first spied that fiery orb tracking across the heavens, we've been fascinated by our red neighbor. Whether we're exploring remotely via rovers or in person at the outpost, the exploration of Mars is full of exciting possibilities.
Hey guys, so we actually just got done riding 4 simulator rides. My personal favorite is the Red Planet. It's just more fun. guys, I'm gonna end my video here. Hope you enjoyed that little, well, not little, it's been like a few hours since we've been here. So yeah, until next time, if you guys are ever in Florida, please stop by the Kennedy Space Center because it's so much fun and there's so much to learn and so much to do and see. Yeah, so take care. Okay guys, so I picked these freeze-dried gummy worms to try. We all normally see those astronaut ice cream, but I've never seen these. So we bought it, and it's kind of pricey at the gift shop. These are actually almost $10, and I'm not even kidding. These is about $9.99. I think you can see it. So, but it's kind of unique because I've never seen it. So I'm gonna try it. Okay, I'm gonna try it. Let's see how it is. Wow, they're pretty huge. It kind of reminds me of Cheetos. I mean, the size wise, it looks like Cheetos. So try it. So it's like candy on Cheetos, actually, but not the cheese flavors. It's actually sour. So it's sour Cheetos. Who knows, but it works. Hope you liked the video.